making this video, my first idea for it was going to be that I was going to talk about how surprisingly good the story for NBA 2K20 was and how we all kind of just underrated it, and that it was actually pretty decent. That's what I wanted to talk about in this video. That was the plan. I mean, I literally watched the gameplay of it, or the story of it, from beginning to end, and in the first 15 minutes I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. Like, there was actually really good moments. Like, I'll be honest with you, when I first played the game, I didn't even watch the story because I was just trying to grind. I didn't really care, but I was just curious, and I rewatched it again. In the first 15 minutes, I was actually impressed. Idris Elba is the coach in the game. Your main character, Che, actually has a pretty interesting story. Like, he seems like somebody who's really trying to get his message across. The whole thing has actual OST, like actual music made just for the game. It was actually really impressive and really good. Like, it made emotional moments pop out even more.
As your captain, it's what you expect of me, and honestly, it's what I expect of myself. I mean, that's why I can't just sit back and let what happened to Porter just ride. It's not who I am, and as a team, it's not who we are.
The cinematography for some of the scenes were actually beautiful. Everybody sounded like legit voice actors. Like, I didn't hear anybody and was like, oh, this is actually bad. Kind of like how Dion Waiters was before.
Who have thought
About what?
that a young buck like you could actually do the right thing and avoid getting his sorry
I had a
butt kicked
teammate
out the
hold me
game?
back.
It was almost a perfect story, and even the beginning was really good. Just to break it down, it's basically about you, Che, who plays in college. It does not make it clear that you're in college until later, but you're basically joining into the March Madness tournament, and you're a good player. You've been playing college for 4 years. You could have went to the league in the first year, but you decided to stay in college for reasons that they never really discussed, but still, you're a player that's playing 4 years in college. You're one of the best players, if not the best player on your team. And during the game, one of your friends, Porter, gets injured. He tore his ACL and dislocates his patella. It sucks for him, but the coach gives a speech saying,
I know, it ain't easy watching your brother fall like that, but hey, listen, don't let a moment of darkness take away from what y'all did tonight.
you obviously feel motivated. You're the leader of your team. You tell your team, hey, you know what? Coach is right. Like, let's ball out. Let's do it for Porter. Let's get this dub. But this is the thing. Porter announces to his friend Che, hey, actually, I'm not going to be able to play with the team anymore, and I have to move because coach straight up took my scholarship. The reason why the coach took his scholarship, first of all, is totally messed up. They took his scholarship because he was hurt, so the coach is like, hey, you can't really like help us anymore this season or in the future, so I'm not going to keep you around. And he basically just cut him straight up like that, cut him, took his scholarship, and it's 100% messed up. Obviously, the main character, Che, who's the leader of the team, is actually really upset about this because his friend just got cut for no reason, and tells the coach, hey, like, this is not cool. The coach basically is like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And Che gets mad and tells his team, listen, I am not gonna play in this tournament because I do not agree with what the school decided to do with Porter, and because of that, I refuse to play for the team and I'm gonna protest. His teammates are actually down and are like, yo, if you're gonna protest, we're gonna protest too. He tells his teammates, nah, don't protest with me. I'm going to do it by myself because I'm obviously going to go to the league. I don't really have much to worry about. You guys are still freshmen, sophomores. You guys need to play this. So basically, he does it by himself. And of course, they lose because he's the best player. And they get salty, but they're still like, nah, we agree with what you did. We respect you. So they lose from the March Madness tournament. Their season is essentially over. And Che, even though sat out the game, it's kind of a happy ending because you decided to do this. Sure, some of the coach, school, and fans are mad at you, but you don't care because you did the right thing, and that is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's bigger than basketball, which the game repeats to you multiple times.
Some things are bigger than the game.
Don't I know?
It is about empowerment. It is about fighting the system. It is about being the best person that you can be and never let the money and never let the game change you, period. It's a perfect story. It's a great setup. And from here on out, you would expect this to be kind of like proving your worth, fighting your way through the draft process, and getting into a team, never changing, being yourself, and fighting for what you believe in. That's what you would believe the story to be. But after the game ends, immediately, the first thing you do is regret your decision. What? I'm sorry, but The whole point of this story was for you to be super confident in what you just did and that you believe in what you did. You decided to sit down so that you can stand up. And then now you're just saying, oh, what did I just do? Now my draft stock went down ridiculously. I'm going to lose all this money. Why did I even stay in college in the first place? And then he decides, I'm just going to leave school. He has 3 months before he's going to graduate. And he tells his advisor, who's like his friend, I guess, which is kind of weird because they hang out all the time. He's like, yeah, I'm basically just going to give up on what I believe in because it's getting really hard and people are making fun of me and I'm not a fan of this. So he decides to drop out of school with 3 months left because he makes a good point. And so this is where I'm kind of 50-50 with the story. He makes a point, why am I going to get a degree from a school that doesn't support me and does things incorrectly, things I don't agree with? I don't want a degree from people who do not believe in what I believe in.
You think me getting a diploma from a man who doesn't even respect me somehow makes this all worthwhile?
Yes, I do. It's a diploma.
I don't care about no diploma.
You know what, dude? I actually 100% agree with that message. Like, I agree with it. But then after that, every single second of the story, he regrets 100% his decision through and through. This is disgusting. It's dumb. And then there's a bunch of filler about podcasts and shoe companies. It is so weird. It just drifts away from the story that was really decent, and he just regrets his decision of what he did the whole time. And then it gets worse. Somehow it gets worse, right? Because the story after this becomes the draft process. And so now the whole focus of the story is getting invited to the combine and trying to find a shoe company. That's like 75% of the story. 25% of the story is like this empowerment, a movement of you believing in your teammate and fighting for him. And then now the 75% of it is completely ignoring that and just trying to find an agent, get some deals done, go to the combine, get drafted, and get some shoe deals. That's like the rest of the story. It's terrible. And then you drop your agent friend who's like basically one of your best friends, the person that was your advisor that you've been believing in, the person has been giving you advice and convincing you to be a good person. You basically drop them because you're like, nah, this is all your fault that I made these mistakes, or at least what he believes are mistakes, instead of saying I own up to what I did. He's basically just regretting everything. He drops his friend just like that because of the decisions that he made. It is ridiculous. And then he starts complaining about how he doesn't even want to change the world, even though he was the one that was trying to be an activist. And then he blames this woman who has no basketball IQ that the decisions that he made were her fault. What kind of person are you, dude? She was just trying to help you for free and you're complaining about her. And then there's this speech that Scottie Pippen gives you that is awesome, but has nothing to do with the story. It basically says that Scottie Pippen got taller, found an agent, and because he could find an agent, he was able to succeed in basketball. That was his story.
He was known as the Super Scout for the NBA. He's helped out a lot of people like myself, John Stockton, Ben Wallace.
So once he realizes that he can start making money off of his story, because shoe deals are coming up saying, hey, we actually really like your story, we want to sign you. And he goes, oh yeah, I know what I did was like totally right and I agree. And he starts getting paid for what he did. So instead of regretting it because it started getting hard, the moment it started getting good for him, he owned up to it again. That is terrible resolve. I hate everything about that. And then he still becomes a bad person. He has workouts he needs to do and he bails on them to do movies. Then a shoe company that is brand new is like, hey, we love what you did and we want to sign you and we want to help you out. And he basically like blows them off and is super rude to them because he's like, nah, there's no money there, so I don't want to be a part of that. Then all of a sudden Nike and Jordan come along and they're like, hey, we actually love what you did. And he's like, oh yeah, me too, give me the money. Like, that's what he does. It's so controversial. It is so hypocritical of him to go from someone who believes he's this good person that's fighting for what he believes in to regretting it because he's losing money, and all of a sudden he starts getting money again and he's like, oh yeah, no, I actually owned up to it. It's ridiculous. It's a terrible story. Then later on you run into your advisor again and you're all buddy all of a sudden, even though you just like did something super messed up to her, and you're like, oh no, now we're friends now, like as if nothing ever happened, which is terrible writing. And then once you get drafted, you act like you're some perfect person again, that you're some activist, and then you never really help Porter. You invite him to go to Vegas with you just so he can get some like rehab, but he was gonna get rehab no matter what, so he didn't really do anything. Porter never gets a scholarship or anything like that. So basically his career gets messed up, and Shea, being some activist, never helped anybody but himself, and that he regretted that decision until it made him money. It's ridiculous. And then the worst part about it, which bothers me even more, is that the coach comes in and becomes your summer league coach. And instead of being like, oh, no, I just said that I wasn't going to play for him, That's the whole reason why I didn't play in college, because I didn't agree with what he did. So instead of leaving the Lakers Summer League team and be like, no, I refuse to play for him, he's like, oh well, I don't want to lose my chance in the NBA. So he decides to play with that coach anyways. What is that story? Are you really arguing that as long as there's no money involved, you can be an activist, but the moment anything gets uncomfortable, or the moment that you're risking your career, oh no, now you got to like stay in line and just deal with it? What kind of story is that? And then you and the coach become buddy-buddy because the coach is like, oh, I quit being the coach of that university because of what you did, so now I'm your coach for the summer league. And then when he's the coach for your summer league, he basically refuses to play you, refuses to start you until y'all finally have a conversation basically saying, hey, are we friends now? Yeah, we're friends, for no reason, and then he decides to start you again. It's stupid. The whole story is in shambles. It's terrible. No wonder it didn't succeed. Also, the lighting is terrible most of the time. There's some terrible, corny jokes that are like The Office kind of jokes.
Don't worry, Bailey. You weren't wrong. This really your man.
He's a shark.
Well, I don't know about shark, Che. More of a poisonous jellyfish or a aggressive sea turtle.
I'm thinking blobfish.
What's that?
Nothing.
And we all know The Office is not funny. It is directionless, and it has a complete change of ideology in the middle of the story that it makes zero sense. And then at the very end of the story, you go on a plane to meet LeBron James, who LeBron James is giving you a lecture on how to become a great person, that you need to become an activist. Really? LeBron, the guy that refused to stand up for Hong Kong because he understood that he would lose money if he did? Yeah, this makes perfect sense. Oh my goodness, this story is terrible.